All right, so the topic for today is how to sell ethically and effectively. And in terms of the actual agenda, look, I think we all have one thing in common as business owners, and that is we're all trying to make more money. But how do we go about doing that in a way that matches with our ethics as well as what actually works? So the things I'm going to cover in the 10 minutes is how to and why we should sell ethically. And there are three key steps that I want you to take on board, which are to beware emotional contagion, the fact that facts tell and stories sell, and people like to buy but hate being sold to. And I'm going to give you three action steps, but what I want you to do is to bear in mind which one stands out to you the most that would make the biggest difference for your business, and then commit to doing that just one action. Because if you commit to doing all three, you're probably going to do none. But if you pick one, you're most likely going to get the best benefit out of it. So first question, why sell ethically? I hope it should be quite obvious to most of us. And I think just the people that I've met at Fresh, I think this is a no-brainer, but it is worth revisiting anyway, because the way that we think about what we do has a massive impact on the way that we do it. So if you feel, for example, that selling is an unethical practice, then it's going to be very hard for you to do authentically. So one of the key reasons that we need to use ethics in sales is because self-orientation destroys trust. If, as we were saying before, if you sell, quote unquote, you repel. What they really mean is if you're only thinking about yourself and your profits, it's going to destroy trust. It's the only way to build long-term success. And at the end of the day, we have to live with ourselves. We have to be able to sleep at night. So if you're doing dodgy stuff as your part of your job, it's going to be very hard to have any sort of self-respect and have a healthy self-image. So even from a completely selfish point of view, it's in our own best interests to do the right thing and to serve our clients effectively. What are the foundations for ethical selling? So before we go into the practical steps, these are the most important things that we need to keep in mind to maintain our integrity. The first one is telling the truth. Telling the truth means disclosing all of the important information that a client needs to make an informed decision. It means not hiding any sort of product weaknesses. If your product cannot or your service cannot achieve certain goals, be truthful about it. But always tell the truth in love, which means to take the person's feelings and their situation into consideration before you tell them the blunt truth. The second part is to keep your promises. So these, you can see from the diagram to the right, that there needs to be consistency between what we believe, what we say, and what we do. So keeping your promises. So if you say you're going to call at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, make sure you jolly well call on 10 o'clock the next day. If you say that you're going to get the proposal out by a certain date, make sure you keep those micro promises. And then the final one, which is a real buzzword for today's marketplace, is to be authentic. And what does that mean? What being authentic means is don't pretend you're someone else. If you're not interested in footy, like I'm not, don't try to pretend that you are just to fit in. Conversely, if you are having trouble with your beliefs about your product, then make sure that you are consistent with what you believe. So these are the foundations for ethical selling. And then on that foundation, we are going to build the rest of the practical tips for today. So the first one is to beware emotional contagion. Now, remember this. People make decisions emotionally and justify with logic. We'd like to think we are logical, but we make really bad and irrational decisions. I can see, Catherine, you're smiling there because in the money field, I'm sure a lot of people make a lot of weird financial decisions that are completely illogical. But the reason that we behave that way is because of our emotions. And in order to improve what we believe and to transfer those beliefs to our clients, we really have to have firm beliefs about our sales as a service, we also have to believe in the value that we're bringing. So if for example, a financial advisor is charging $2,000 or $3,000 for their service and they bring $300,000 or $100,000 worth of value, then that's absolutely massive, and you can transfer those emotions to the person that you're speaking to. And your mindsets around money is also really critical in terms of being able to earn money without feeling bad about it. So remember that we transfer the emotions that we are experiencing, and we have to be really mindful of when we're going into meetings, how we're coming across and the kinds of emotions that we have. So if you're feeling anxious, you're going to pass that on to the person that you're speaking to. So we have to be really mindful of that. My suggestion and the first action step is to pay close attention to your emotional states and practice deep breathing prior to the meeting. So this is a very, very simple step that will help to calm all of your nerves and also to help you to oxygenate your brain and to actually be at your peak performance when you're going in. People generally like doing business with those who are happy and stable people. So to just be mindful of your emotional state when you're going into meetings. The next tip for you is facts tell and stories sell. So if I told you, hey, my business is based on 15 years of research. I've had hundreds of books and articles and courses and 13 years of experience in the sales field. You may be thinking, so what, right? Have you ever heard those businesses that say, our firm has a combined experience of 100 years, because that's obviously how experience works. You know, you add them together and it looks massive. But in reality, people don't care about the facts. They only care about what it means for them. So you need to use stories. So for example, this is Sam from Emporio Coffee, one of my past coaching clients. He was struggling in the family business trying to sell coffee to cafes. You know, in a hyper competitive industry, he was only, out of every 10 cafes he approached, he was only getting one meeting. So in my work with him, I worked with him for 3 months, changed the approach to a much more emotionally intelligent way of approaching these cafe owners. And as a result, he was converting 40 to 50% of his approaches into actual meetings. So stories sell, facts tell. And so my second action step for you is to write a case study of your happiest client and the value you brought for them. So the format of this is the original situation they were in, what you did to help them, and what was the ultimate outcome for them. All right, so the final point is people like to buy, but hate being sold to. We have a bit of a conundrum especially for people who are introverts like myself. We have a bit of a conundrum. We need to be assertive and we want to sell, but we don't want to be pushy. The key fact here is that we need to preserve people's autonomy. We don't want to go pushing people around, or they will push back. People deeply value their freedom. You know, think of the movie Braveheart. like seriously, we as humans, we value our freedom and we will fight tooth and nail to preserve it. So how do we go about preserving people's autonomy while still being assertive? Firstly, never argue. Let's put it this way. People's ego does not care about facts. People's emotions don't care about facts. And so if you prove them wrong, they're going to fight back and they're going to disagree with you. They're not going to buy from you. So instead of telling people statements and facts, well, if a person says your price is too high, no, it's not. You might want to ask instead, when you say the price is too high, what do you mean? What are you comparing it with? So use questions instead of statements. And what I highly recommend you do is to use the word recommend. It positions you as the expert and it preserves their autonomy, gives them the decision-making power, but it still is strongly assertive in pushing them, not pushing, pulling them in the right direction. Use the word recommend. Here is, based on your situation, here's what I would recommend. For your third action step, to use the word recommend in your next sales opportunity and meeting. Just as a quick favor, if I may ask, if you enjoyed this short education session, that you write a quick review for me on Google. I'll include the link in the chat afterwards. Comments are optional. Just leave a quick review. That would be a massive favor to me. Really appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.